Hello everybody, this is Catholic Dad, episode number 442, Machiavellian Fauci. I've been kind of quiet on the Catholic Dad channel. I've been kind of concentrating on my own personal life. I did the Exodus 90 thing. That was actually quite interesting. I did pretty well with it, but I grew tired of it. So it's really nice to be out of the desert and actually start enjoying life again in terms of my own personal habits and warm showers and whatever else. But all that being said, Machiavellian Fauci. So I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a Catholic perspective on what's going on in the world. And everybody knows it's wrong, whatever it is. The culture's breaking down and there's centralization of powers. This is very un-Catholic, to say the least. There's a Catholic principle out there called subsidiarity. And subsidiarity is this, that every solution needs to be solved at the lowest possible level. And we need to follow this in our own Catholic lives. And so when I say this, so like if a Catholic dad here has a problem with anger or something like that, he's got to go to the confessional, he's got to talk to his priest and try to solve that problem himself. And then another portion of subsidiarity is that if you can't solve the problem on the lowest possible level, you go to the next level, right, to solve the problem. But everything needs to be the lowest possible level. And so like if I can't solve the problem, well then it becomes a family problem. So then I have to involve the wife and the kids or whatever else to help dad, Catholic dad, try to solve the problem. And if that doesn't work, then you go a little bit higher to your community and your friends, a little bit higher. And what this does is it makes it so everybody's problem's not everybody else's problem. You know, like in medical world, you know, I'm a physician, is like somebody in Maine, if they get prostate disease or like toenail fungus, it shouldn't be my problem out here in the West. You know, it's like you shouldn't make everybody's problems just this, you know, a big ball of energy for the whole world. Anyway, Fauci's done that, and the whole Department of Health and the CDC have done that. They violated the principles of subsidiarity, and they usurped authority which is not theirs to usurp. I mean, the CDC is a appointed regulatory agency, and it's not a lawmaker, right? It's not an enforcer. It's not, you know, it offers recommendations, and that is all. And it can't usurp the legal authority of the people, because we are a republic. Whether you like it or not, we are still a republic of the United States of America. In fact, when Ben Franklin left Independence Hall, and everybody said, well, you know, Ben Franklin, what kind of government do we have? He said, a republic, keep it if you can, right? Meaning it's hard to keep a republic because these things want to degrade into democracy. And as I think Thomas Jefferson once quipped, democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what to have for dinner. Essentially, it's the tyranny of the majority. The strongest will be able to dominate the weakest, and that's what democracy is. And so we developed a republic precisely to solve the problems at the lowest possible level, to follow the Catholic principle of subsidiarity, and not involve the entire world in problem solving in the United States of America. And also the contralateral part of that is when there's problems in the rest of the world, it's not our problem to solve either. You kind of have to stay within your own domain. And so I think probably all the problems of the world and this whole globalism thing we're moving along right now is essentially just violating the principles of subsidiarity. And I'll use Ukraine as a good example. You know, I can't tell you how many people I know that has an opinion on Ukraine. Right? Like, first off, we're in the neoliberal Western democracies now. You know, we're no longer republics, and what our media tells us is not necessarily the truth. The fact that you have an opinion on Ukraine and you know who to root for and who to stick up for tells me you're not following the principle of subsidiarity. Like, I don't want to choose sides on this one because it's not within my domain to solve. It's not really the United States of America's problem. It's kind of maybe Europe's problems. It's certainly Russia's problems. It's certainly Ukraine's problem, but it is not my problem, you know, Catholic dad, and it's certainly not the United States of America. So these people get amped up, and people throw information at them, and eventually they want to like charge into battle and solve this worldly problem that is not theirs to solve. Well, how about we become Roman Catholics, people, and we stop trying to solve the world's problems and we concentrate on our own? Welcome to the Roman Catholic religion. That you have to have a deep prayer life, and you have to find out what's wrong with you, right? Your heart, what's in your heart, and you don't have to go and externalize everything and try to solve the world's problems. Like I've said this before, in terms of the environment, everybody wants to solve the environmental problems. Well, it's funny when obese people say that because they obviously haven't solved their gluttony issue. Like, they need to work on that problem. Once they master that problem, then work on their next problem. Then they can go on to solve whatever problem they need to do. I guess I'm rambling right now, but let's talk about Fauci a little bit. Machiavellian Fauci. So if anybody doesn't know who Niccolo Machiavelli was, he was an Italian in Florence in the late 15th century, early 16th century. And he was a writer, and he was kind of a political influencer, I suppose. And his most famous play was The Prince. He wrote it in the early 1500s, got published in 1532. And essentially it was saying that politics is all deception, essentially, and that you need to use deception to get your way in politics. And that's what Machiavelli was. He's kind of become the name, right, for deceptive politics. And who knows if it was him pointing out how deceptive politics would be, or B, advice to those who want to win in politics, that you have to be deceptive and you have to like use hard knock politics and like play hardball and kind of break the rules to get your way. Deception, that's what Machiavelli was about. Well, anyway, that's what Fauci's become, because here's a little man, a little kind of feeble man, by the way, that he thinks he's the ruler of the world, and he's not. I mean, the CDC has no legal authority to tell people what they can and what they can't do. They issue kind of recommendations, and that's all they do. Well, anyway, this whole CDC mask mandate on airplanes, some judge down in Florida overturned it the other day. And Fauci came out, his little Machiavellian, like Napoleonic or whatever he was, came out and said, this is the world of public health. It's not the world. This should have never gone to the courts. We in public health should have been the ones to say how this works. You know, like we, the CDC, has authority over public health, and it's not you, the representative government of the United States of America, which is really annoying, because how does a little man who's appointed a job to be in a regulatory agency usurp our representative government, our republic? This little guy essentially is being deceptive. He's being Machiavelli himself. He's trying to convince the general public that he has authority, and he does not. And some court came out and said, yeah, you don't have authority, which is like, hooray for the good guys. But I'm trying to convince you of the issue of subsidiarity. I'm trying to convince you how to make your life better. So don't be duped by these SOBs. And this is something that I need to say from the bottom of my heart, because there's a book out there called, what was it called? Police Battalion 101, Ordinary Men. I've talked about this before, by Christopher Browning. But I don't know if you know this. So the Nazis, what they did was they created all this propaganda about the Jews. And what they did was they convinced everybody that the Jews were dirty and they carried disease. And in particular, two diseases that they convinced everybody the Jews had more than everybody else was typhus and tuberculosis. Everybody got really scared of the disease, right? And so what the Department of Health then recommended in Germany, and I don't know what kind of governments they had at that point in time, but they convinced the dirty people, or the COVID people, whatever they were, that they needed to be put into ghettos, like kind of keep them away from the rest of society. Those were the COVID camps. I mean, the Jewish ghettos. That's what they were. And so they put them in these ghettos, and they wouldn't let them out. They actually started mandating passports. Show me all papers, show me your papers. And that was all developed under the Department of Health. Well, anyway, the problem with that is people got hungry, and there were people in these ghettos that needed food. So the men would leave the ghettos to go procure food for their families, like their children and their wives and whatever else. And it became a regulatory problem for the people trying to keep the Jews in the ghettos. You couldn't, because they're like, well, show me your papers. Well, I need food. Then they run away, and they'd have to arrest them, and it became really annoying. People wouldn't voluntarily starve to death. And so what happened was, because they didn't want the Jews out, they started issuing these shoot-to-kill orders on Jewish people that didn't have their appropriate papers. And do you know who handed down the shoot-to-kill orders on the Jews? This is something really important. And it was the Department of Health in Germany, which the parallels are unnerving here. The Department of Health seized the regulatory authority of the state because there was some pandemic response, and that we didn't have to follow the legal system anymore, to the point of putting people to death. So Fauci's sitting here going, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with the legal system of America. This has everything to do with public health. Well, could you imagine the Germans in pre-World War II Germany, with the ghettos and the Jews? saying, well, this has nothing to do with, the law. This has everything to do with public health. These people are dirty, they're infectious, so we need to keep them in the ghettos. And if they violate that, we're going to issue shoot-to-kill orders. By the way, the people that were enforcing the laws of the Jewish ghettos were very happy to have the shoot-to-kill orders because it gave them a better capacity to regulate these people. So be wary, people. Fauci is a Machiavellian dictator, is what he is. He has no legal authority over your life, and you need to resist a little bit. And you need to know the principles of subsidiarity. You need to know the legal authority of the United States of America. And again, we're a republic, so I'm going to tell you what a republic is. Okay, a republic is that laws are made by representative government, legislative branch of government. These things are enforced by the executive branch of government, and they're reviewed by the judicial branch of government. Okay, that's what they are. And so anytime you go outside of that realm of influence, you're actually not being authoritative. You don't have the authority. So the laws are made by the legislative branch of government, and anything that has a penalty associated with it has to go through the legislative branch of government. And now, for the most part, this is getting a little deeper than I wanted to get, but for the most part, these are all state-run issues, right? Because you can solve these things in the lowest possible level in the state. They're not supposed to be run up the flagpole to the federal issue. Don't make a federal issue of it, sometimes people say. Well, the problem with everything is everything's become a federal or international issue, and nobody knows how to run their damn lives accordingly. And so we as Catholics need to practice in our own personal lives the issue of subsidiarity. My personal health with toenail fungus or prostate disease or whatever, heart disease, should not become the problem of somebody in Ukraine. Much like the Ukrainian people, when they're defending themselves, should not be a problem of me and my children. I mean, I have 6 boys, 3 girls, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to allow these boys to go over and die for somebody else's problem. That doesn't make any sense. And they're under my domain, so I'm going to be taking care of them. But anyway, so that's what Machiavellian means. That's who Tony Fauci is, by the way. And we in America have become super Machiavellian because we've violated the strict Catholic principle of subsidiarity. And I guess I'll talk more about it later, and what if I were a monarch, what would I do to correct this problem at hand? Because it doesn't seem like it's going to be correctable without some massive conflict. And so that's really, it saddens me a lot to see my nation fall apart like this, because people can't understand what legal authority, subsidiarity, and a Republican form of governance is. But everybody should laugh at Fauci when he acts like Machiavelli. That's the way it should be. And we should say, go away, little man. In fact, they probably should arrest him for all the lies and misdeeds and deception like Machiavelli, what he did. And so, well, anyway, this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get to Mass, and pray the daily rosary. Thank you, and God bless you all.